you're gonna amend your motion?
Oh, amend my motion? Wait a minute. What am I being asked? I'm sorry.
Okay, so if I might take just a moment, the ordinance adoption process in the city charter is that we will have a draft ordinance ready for public review at least a week before the meeting where the council will consider adopting it. And then there's the 2 readings, which we're gonna do later because we have a proposed ordinance on the agenda. So we have a first reading and a second reading, and the council votes at each reading on whether or not to adopt the ordinance. So the motion was that we move that we adopt this draft ordinance relating to mailboxes and public right of way, and that's the notes I made. So when you say with Pete's changes, so do you want to amend your motion?
Yes, I want to
And
amend my
then we'll
motion to
proceed
include
with-
the changes that Mr. Gittner is going to be adding.
Okay. Okay, and then I'm gonna back up even more, because if we're gonna adopt this tonight with amendments that Pete's gonna work up clarifying wording on, I don't think we can.
Yeah.
I don't think we can actually adopt the ordinance.
Well, I
So,
hate to delay
I
this any
understand
longer
what
than
you're
necessary.
saying, yeah, I know,
We adopted for review. I mean, the way I envision this is that we actually adopted for, we're finalizing the details. You folks have discussed, you've made some comments. But we finalize it, and then we have it for public viewing in preparation for actually adopting it. That's what I,
for the adoption process.
yeah, that's what I thought we were doing.
It's gonna have to, it's gonna
This
take.
was never intended to be adopted tonight as an
Okay, well, if that satisfies the requirements, then yeah.
Like parliamentary, this procedure here has to allow Jeff to withdraw his second also.
Oh. Are you withdrawing the motion?
I'm not.
You're not, so is it, are we gonna vote on that tonight or to next?
Well, my understanding is, the motion is to adopt this draft ordinance relating to mailboxes in the right of way with the amendments that Pete will be rewording.
Make
And
it
that,
clear, yeah.
that the passing of this motion tonight will direct staff, Pete, to reword, put it in for ordinance form and bring back for the adoption process at the next meeting.
Right.
And it'll be available a week
Yeah.
beforehand with others.
In other words, we're already approving the ordinance as it's going to be written, new, but,
But there's gonna be discussion, yeah.
yeah, we can still say no.
Just to comment, I think that there's enough people in the community that want these boxes, that in certain areas that the city deems are appropriate for them, based upon pretty much the greatest discretion and research. I think that it's, in all honesty, going down the road without community service. They do have cluster boxes in Little Whaleco, 278 boxes there. I think that, but that's a PD, which is a little bit different, but I think the rest of the people in the city of Depoe Bay, if they could get together and find some place, a group of people that was appropriate with no objections, and it was.
That's what was allowed before, with
Yeah.
cluster boxes around South Point. South of town is all the cluster area. And, that was always the question, do we want to stick with that? We want to go to individual boxes. There's all these what ifs, so it's very layered.
He kind of knew this, if I can make a comment, Mayor. It appears to me that the postal service has put you folks on the defensive, and there's no reason for that. You folks always had the right to regulate your own right of way. You all have always had that right. So this is actually an accommodation. That's the way I look at it from not having a dog.
Well, I think it kind of defines our right. And
Yeah.
states it in a very
Right.
clear and concise manner.
If you want to allow it, if you revoke it 3 years from now,
Right.
that's the way it works.
All right, we're gonna give, only one more.
Just as a comment, the original south of the bridge boxes that were installed by a postmistress in collaboration with the city and the staff, and worked out to be a real benefit to a lot of people south of town. However, since she retired 11 years ago, they have done nothing to continue to go forward with boxes in, rural routes inside the city.
Collaborative way.
Yeah, so my question is, how can the post office department decide that they're only gonna provide, free of charge, delivery to a post office box? The individual has to buy and have installed and maintained on the city's right of way, when they've already installed 240 boxes in Little Well Cove.
At our cost, our cost.
No, not your cost, you didn't pay for it.
Excuse me, yes, the development did, I'm on the board. In fact, I just approved the expenditure.
I'm not talking about new ones, I'm talking about the ones that were installed back when,
I'm pretty sure that we paid for them.
no, listen, I've talked to the past postmisses, and she told me that the post office paid for the boxes.
I can check on that for sure, but.
You
I
should, and I'm
but
telling you,
I'm-
she said.
Okay, but I'm telling you, in
She
no
was the
certain terms.
postmistress that put them in, and she
We,
said, yes, she worked with the staff, and they approved the locations, and they put them at post office expense. And the new
You're
regional.
steamrolling me, Bernie, you're steamrolling me, okay, because,
I'm telling you wrong, that's all.
well, I'm not wrong, I happen to be on the board of Little Well Cove, and, I can tell you,
Your new boxes, you're gonna be paying for.
and replacement of some of the old boxes. We just did.
I'm just telling you that the original boxes,
That-
when
I
they
will
were
find out
installed,
whether that's true or
Okay.
not. Okay, I have no faith in the historical, record of the post office, mistress memory in this case.
Okay.
I'll find out.
well,
It's a matter of record.
Thank you, Frank. Let's, get on about this, because
so that does mean I can't continue with my conversation, what I'm trying to say?
well, we're in the middle of voting on
Okay, I'm just trying to tell you that the post office is steamrolling you. And they're steamrolling your constituents, and they're going to charge people for post office boxes that they haven't had to pay for before, because they are rolling out this program. Read your letter. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
your,
Let's see.
We have one gentleman in the back.
One,
To the council, my name is Jeff Millian, I live at 340 Elsie Street.
oh, hi Jeff.
Hi, how are you? Keep it short and succinct if I may. The United States Postal Service has given us the authority to put up a temporary box at that location. It sounds to me like it's a concern between you and the post office, not the individual. Okay, so I think until the council has decided with the United States Post Office what direction you're gonna take, to take measures that may affect and may not affect individuals is kind of maybe premature. And that's all I'm gonna say. Let me add that. The United States Postal Service has also informed me that their legal counsel has been involved. So I would suggest, perhaps, there's a little more research done before arbitrarily, we maybe pull the pin on this a little too soon. That's all I'm gonna say. Thank you.
that's it.
So you're absolutely correct. However, in that same vein, until such things are decided, it doesn't mean that a person can arbitrarily place something on private property.
I've been told by the United States Postal Service I can put a mailbox there.
On private
Now,
property.
all I'm saying is, that's not, let me back up, it is my concern. You've got other people in the same situation that may or may not be willing to come down here. Why hasn't this council gotten an okay from the United States Postal Service that says what we can and can't do? That's all I'm asking. All I'm asking, this has been going on for months, if not longer. So before you start arbitrarily taking shots at people, what do you say the council gets it all together?
Sir, this is not directed at you.
I know it's not, and I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying you got a policy issue here that involves the United States Postal Service, and you're saying one thing and they're telling me something else. I'm not the only person that's gonna come up with this concern.
No.
That's all I'm saying. I think something needs to be done up there before you start telling me I can't put a bucket of cement. Is it on top of the location? Sure, it's a temporary bucket. We can move it down the street.
It's on someone's property. It's not on the public right of way, it's on.
Brady, all I'm saying, the United States Postal Service said we could put it.
So you need to understand that the United States Post Office does not have the
They don't have the
authority
right
to tell you
Hold on.
to trespass on someone else's property.
Okay,
They simply don't have that
Okay.
authority.
I would be surprised.
All right.
I don't
My
think it's
question to
necessary.
you, sir, is, does Valerie have the right to trespass?
I'm not going to make it around.
Bernie,
You're not?
all
It
right,
has nothing.
We've got a question there. Call, please.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Bambino,
yes.
Mantala,
Yes.
Grant.
Aye.
So on the next July 19th agenda will be a proposed ordinance number, probably 306, with wording very similar to what you just reviewed.
Thank you.
Okay. Item D, Oregon Department of Transportation, conflict letter of non-reverse work on, US 101, Oil Cove,
Right, there's a couple of questions I had for Pete, is that, they said if we, so this permit X, they said that we have to move our lines unless we have a special permit that when we put our, lines and our water mains way back in on ODOT's right of way. This was back in like the 70s. And they said unless you have a special permit X, that we have to move the lines by August 16th
At your cost?
at the city's cost. We have to move 2 lines, as a matter of fact. It's,
Pretty spendy?
yeah, it's about 800 feet of bypass, and one of the main concerns that we need to know is we're gonna be cleaning our reservoir, our water reservoir, and the main artery for Depoe Bay to keep us in treatable water is from Rocky Creek, and that's one of the lines that they want us to move. So it's putting us in a particular position with the time frame and how important it is for.
Generally, they can make you move at your cost, but I'd have to see if the conditions of the statute. I mean, you and I should probably talk
Right.
quickly. Because they generally can make a person or utility move. I mean, are we talking like hundreds of thousands of dollars?
No. The gas company has to move their main. PUD has to move all the main feeders for Depoe Bay along the highway to, south of town, they have to move their lines. So we're kind of right in with Northwest Natural and PUD.
So you can all
I've
share
been
it.
negotiating with this guy over the last 2 weeks, trying to see if there's any loophole we could do to get out of it. It's been just, because the town's water source, it's very important. And I met with this guy over and over again, and they're gonna move forward with this. Trying to extend it, trying to see if we could reschedule with them. But it looks like, the areas that we're gonna probably have to move 2 lines at 800 feet apiece, temporary line, yeah. And then tie back into it, and then probably remove the area that the pipes completely removed out. And then when we're all done, we're gonna put it back.
Well, in the same way, we just got up to the discussion of rights of way and who has
Yeah.
control.
Yeah.
They have a state statute that reads a lot like
Yeah.
this when it comes to state highways.
Right.
But let me check this statute. It does say something about either having an X permit or the information described under that ORS. I could probably pull it up right now, but the advice would probably be faulty just quickly. But you're talking like August.
Yeah, August 16th.
Okay.
Did we discuss this, at
think the
some
last
of the
meeting.
length,
Yeah, it's in the minutes.
a couple of weeks, yeah. And what did we find
I
out?
think you wanted me, the council wanted me to find out more information on it and see if there was a window of timeframe that could be extended or whatnot.
Well, and you're gonna go with the surface,
Yeah, surface tip pipe. I was just thinking that if we did have, we could get reimbursement if we had certain aspects to our, ordinance, but that's something we gotta do a little research on and dig through files and try to see if we possibly do. It kinda sounds like we don't, that they may already know this, but I'm not sure. So, there was two avenues they were gonna go with also, that if they were budgeting for so much work to be done on these two back culverts. Now, if the prices came in from the contractor that it was actually going to be more expensive to do both, they were only gonna do one, so then we'd only have to move it 300 feet. And I was out with the guy the last couple of weeks measuring and trying to figure out the path that the city would have to go through, and he's working with, maybe the city could share a ditch with Northwest Natural. I think we won't have to put ours and cover it like they have to, because it's an explosive gas, and I don't know if we even want to be sharing that with them.
Given the fact that even tonight, we're going to probably approve a contract for the dredging of the reservoir. What is the timeline that we would have the reservoir back up operational as our main line?
It's probably gonna start being dredged, late July. So, it will probably be back up and running, probably say the second week of August. And this will be about the time where, we can afford to be down Rocky Creek for a couple, we have enough storage and finished potable water where we could do this transition. As long as the pipes, welded together and make the two connections, barring nothing goes wrong, a couple days to do this, say, tie in one end one day, and then Rocky Creek.
But it sounds like that's pretty fast, that's faster than I expected. So it sounds like if somehow we could possibly urge them to give us at the most a month, that would solve the problem, right?
Well, we would have to do this, expedite this, that's like Pete and I were talking about, we probably should get together right away and try to figure out if there is a window. If not, then I've got to put together a battle plan to get these pipes moved. I came up with a couple of solutions to where one of the main issues is keeping water to Morocco. And if we could install one valve, we may be able to isolate that area and feed Morocco through Oceanus, through Little Cove, up Oceanus Street and south of town. It'll be an engineering feat, but actually that would only have us moving the Rocky Creek water line and temping that and then just isolating the other. So there may be some cost-effective ways to do this, but still, again,
Was it in the ground before it was a US highway? That's one of the provisions in the statute.
I don't know.
Do we have an easement?
Yes.
Okay.
I think we have an easement, a utility easement through the area.
Maybe, email that to me, but it said there's very few things where you get compensated. One is if you predate it being designated a US highway, but I believe that it's probably been a US highway for a long time. 80 years maybe?
We used to smuggle illegal booze through there on a trail when it was Smuggler's Cove.
When did we have when was our water district founded?
Right. Yeah.
So,
But we were incorporated in the city in 76.
okay.
73.
I think it was a US highway before 63 though.
Yeah.
Well, let's get together. There's only so much you can read.
And I would say, did we just make any motions last time about telling Brady to carry on? Do what we need to do to, keep water flowing in Depoe Bay? We're begging you.
Yes. So I'll try to get with Pete, coming up with any kind of, possibly getting reimbursed for this, but I think moving them is gonna be inevitable, so I've got a plan. It's an emergency, so maybe by, next meeting, we might have to get something approved to have a certain contractor, or whoever I try to get lined up in emergency.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
there's a guy that worked, they did the same thing, and they widened the bridge in the slough, just as an example, the Kernville Bridge, Lincoln Beach Water District had to have their water main put on the highway, and it was about 500 feet of transition that they had to do. So I'm getting a lot of their information copied, and they're letting me kind of go through their previous homework they did, so that'll help. So, yeah, it's a pretty big thing for us in the middle of a busy summer, and it puts a wrench in a lot of projects and the public and everything, so. Anyway, I'll do what we can and keep you updated.
Okay,
Great, thank you.
Okay.
You have to get in the middle of that too.
What's that?
You have to get in the middle of that one.
Yeah, because it's kind of technical. I started looking at the statute. Too late at night to figure it out right now.
All right.
Well, they're gonna do what they're gonna do, so we need to do, even if we're not.
Even if we get
reimbursed,
compensated, that's right. That's right.
All right. On new business. Proposed ordinance number 305, ordinance imposing a 3% sales tax on marijuana and marijuana retailer, and referring the ordinance to the voters in the general election held in November. Please.
Okay. You have before you the proposed ordinance 305 that the mayor just read the title of. City charter requires that the full ordinance be read at the first reading and second reading unless the council passes a motion to read by title only at first and second readings. So that's always the first thing I ask for your consideration.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to so move. I would like to move that we,
Read by title only at first and second reading.
yes.
Any second? Discussion, please.
I have some issues with, I don't know if it'd be legal wording or not, and I don't know if I should mention that now, or because we're doing a reading by title only, can I comment or question on the content of the ordinance?
Yeah, I think you should.
Okay. In all of it, except, there's only, oh yeah, okay, the actual notice of city measure election, the writing for that, is the only place it says recreational marijuana. Everywhere else it says retail sales. That could be medicinal. And this is only designed for recreational, right?
It is, yes.
Yeah. So,
Just by way of information, there is currently no tax on medicinal products, so
yeah.
just
Well,
want to
this
point
would-
that out.
In my opinion, what this would do is say that it's for all of it.
Well, my understanding of the state law, that the ordinances that govern medical marijuana is that there's no provision there to be, for any tax to be imposed on it at this time.
Okay, then maybe this would be,
Oh, it'll be okay. It's, it includes whatever the state allows. And so if down the road the state were to allow some kind of tax on medicinal, that's what would happen, but that's not,
oh, okay,
So it's more inclusive, I believe. The reason it's phrased that way is it's more inclusive.
yeah, okay, then I'll,
But you can never tax more than you're allowed to, so.
right, okay. Thank you.
We have a motion. And Lisa, okay. Call please.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino,
Yes.
Mackler,
Yes.
Grant,
Right.
Fisher Brown.
Yes.
Okay, we'll proceed with the first reading, proposed ordinance number 305, and the reading by title only, an ordinance imposing a 3% tax on the sale of marijuana items by a marijuana retailer, and referring this ordinance to the voters at the general election to be held on November 8th, 2016. So at this point, are there any questions or comments from anyone in the audience? If there aren't any at this first reading, I would also note that the city has not received any written comments on this proposed ordinance. And at this point, a motion to adopt at the first reading would be in order.
I so move.
Second.
I seconded, call please.
And, okay, first reading. Gambino,
Yes.
Matlock,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
No.
Wiseman.
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to adopt at the first reading passed, but not unanimously. And so the second reading cannot occur this evening, even if you wanted it to. So the second reading will appear on the next agenda. And what that also will do is it removes the next agenda item, because you would not consider putting this measure on the ballot, this ordinance on the ballot as a measure until it's actually adopted, so that shortens.
You're welcome.
And Louise, how does that affect our timeline? Do we still have a timeline?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
When I hear you correctly, we're doing away with item B at this point.
Yes, we cannot proceed with, putting that ordinance on the ballot until it's actually adopted.
Okay. The other one is, the audit,
Oh, yes.
services contract renewal proposal from Grinstead and Group Associates. That should be a fair gauging.
Okay, did you all get a copy of Signy's proposal for a contract renewal? We have been doing 3-year contracts for a long time now. So that's what she's proposing, is a 3-year contract again. Starting with the fiscal year that just ended a few days ago. The price is up somewhat. Last year's audit was just under $16,000. And one of the reasons for the increase, I'm trying to see if she says, but I know just from talking with her, one of the reasons for the increase, besides an inflationary thing, is the additional reporting requirements. Seems like every year, the gas fee throws more reporting requirements. And interestingly enough, they seem more interested in text. They're almost doing away with numbers. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. But, yeah, I know, it's very odd. But more stringent and more detailed reporting requirements. So,
He mumbled something first.
Oh, I'm just, you know, I mean, how do you say her name? Signy? Signy. I've listened to her for, you know, a couple cycles here. And, do they have a breakdown of their services? What they're charging by hour roughly?
oh, no, it's a contract, and I've never even asked them to track their hours.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Yeah, I know, it's just, you know, are we, I'm saying, is it taking them 100 hours? And then at 100 hours, let's see, we would be paying $160 an hour? Or is it taking 200 hours or 300 hours and we're paying half that or a quarter of that? I'm just curious, I'm a little bit just curious on what we're paying by the hour to Grimstad and Associates. I mean, for what we're getting, it could be if it's 100, maybe we're paying $100 an hour. That's not unusual for certified public accountants offices. maybe we're paying, how long is it actually taking them? Then I gotta tell you that, as smart as Signe seemed, and she's very smart, I think going forward, we need to put a finger on what our unfunded mandate is. In regards to our PERS requirements.
That is one of the requirements that is adding a lot of time to the.
Well, we didn't get a number, we didn't even get close to a number.
Well, no, you didn't, because last year's audit, the state was still working toward, providing information. And so all of that process that is pretty new, for the state is becoming, I don't want to use the word streamlined, but it's starting to actually fall together. As far as we need to get the information from the state, and then so we can record it. So there's additional requirements, a lot of it's directly related to PERS. Absolutely.
Right, I would like, before I sign this contract, I'd like to get some kind of idea of how many hours it takes Grimstad and Associates to assemble our audit.
And if that's information the council would like before they act on this, I certainly can bring whatever information you'd like.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
just a comment on that. I don't think you really want to consider her charging you by the hour.
Well, I'm not, except there's gotta be some kind of benchmark, Jeff. That's my opinion.
I'm looking at these figures and I'm impressed. Knowing what I do to close out a fiscal year, and that's not including any audit or anything, I'm impressed. I'm just saying. I mean, she can give you a cost per hour, but every year, it's not gonna be the same amount of hours, it's gonna fluctuate so much. Irrelevant.
But it is relevant, because, I mean, it gives us some kind of benchmark of what we're actually paying for. I mean, it could be that we're getting a great deal, but I trust that, Ms. Grimstad is not losing money on our account. I would just like, as a counselor, and if the rest of the council doesn't see it my way, that's fine. I'm just saying that whenever I engage a contractor, part of my due diligence is to see which way I'm getting my best deal. By time and materials, or by contract, and by his or her estimate, of time and materials. And I've hired quite a few contractors in the last 2 years, okay? So, it's just, I'm not asking what she's charging per hour, I would just, as a counselor, like to know what kind of effort, is it 100, 200, 300, or is it 50 hours?
Robert?
Given all the discussion thus far, I am thinking that it's certainly well over 16.8 hours to come up with this information that she furnishes us. That being $100 an hour, I personally think it's going to be less, because I think she's putting in more hours. Therefore,
I just want to stop you there. You said 16.8 hours. You're by an
16,000
order of magnitude.
16, oh, it'd be 168 hours.
Yes.
Well, anyway, okay, well, that makes it easy. But still, I'm gonna say, given the experience and tenure that we've had from Grimstad and Associates, I would move that we accept the contract proposal from Grimstad and Associates.
One second.
Have a second on that. Yeah, conversation, as I watch these people and they're working on this stuff, during their hours, and I just happen to come in and they're working on it. And I'll tell you what, they've got their hands full. I think they earn their money, so. If there's any other conversation, let's call the vote.
I've got just a comment, motion's been made and seconded.
Yes.
Is, I'm not saying don't renew the contract, I just want more information. I mean, I think it's within our due diligence sometimes to find out, I mean, is there another better deal out there? I don't know. Because you know why? And we're never gonna know, based upon where we're at now, because we're not asking anybody else how much it would cost.
If I might, no, this year we're not. And honestly, I don't remember if it was 3 years ago or 6 years ago. I think it was only 3 that we did. We went out for proposals, and it was quite interesting in that there's not that many auditors around, especially this area, that conduct governmental audits. It was quite interesting. But there still are some, but yeah, it was, so we have done that in not too distant past.
Call please.
Mantala,
Yes.
Grant,
Aye.
Fisher Brown,
Yes.
Wiseman,
Yes.
Gambino.
Yes.
Because you know what, I'm gonna get this information.
She said in her letter that the fees reflect time estimated, so certainly she
Right,
has that.
I
So
know, that's all, she is very open, she's very
Yeah,
transparent.
Absolutely. So would you like me to ask that and get a memo to the council?
Yes.
All right, we'll do that.
You arbitrator, yeah.
What are we ever gonna do without you, Cory?
Well, right now, and I do have faith in, because the Grimstad family, and I put Sydney in that category. My experience with them is that it's a group, so far, everyone that I've met is above reproach. You know, they're very honorable people.
All right, we're on to,
I was just gonna say, sorry, Mayor, is that an auditing firm that's been doing it has some advantages as far as time to do it than somebody who didn't do it yet.
That's it.
on item D, we've got a person that's basically waiting. Wilco Inn property, Los Osos. Please come up and give us your name.
Mr. Mayor. For those of us who aren't aware, I am one. Why is this on the agenda? What prompted
Actually, it was at my, my request. I've had so many citizens ask, what are we going to do with that property down there? With people leaving, the doors open when they leave in the morning. And if there is a door, they shut it at night. If there isn't a door, they don't, but they stay there. The place is just, it's a black eye in the city. So
Thank you.
I brought it up for discussion. Go
So
ahead.
you're talking about the well,
Yep.
the well inn? I was kind of hoping it would be on the next agenda, maybe you'd forward it, but I'm Betty Lawfer, by the way, and I live at 460 Northwest Spencer. And my question about the property is apparent, of course, that nobody's there and it's not being tended to. I mean, weeds and everything's all grown up. So if you have some input, I've been trying to do some research today, but I didn't have much time to do as much research as I normally would. I have a realtor's past, so in 32 years, but I'm always concerned about a property that becomes vacant and not being tended to, and you know, probably pretty bad shape, would be my guess. It probably needs a lot of work. I don't know anything about the owner. I'm trying to do some research on them to find out, because it is public information, who that person is and, you know, what's going on. Do you have any information on why the property isn't being not tended to? You have any of that information? Okay.
I don't,
Okay,
I know that it's in terrible
right.
disrepair, and a lot of people are using it. I wouldn't wanna stick my head in one of those doors
Right.
and see what's been happening in there.
Say, right. So, of course, I'm concerned about that. I live here in Depoe Bay, and I want everything to look as beautiful as possible, and whatever I can do to help. I'm not acting as a realtor right now when I'm talking about this property right now. I'm concerned, in the past, you had, I guess, a lot of people were breaking into homes. There were homeless people that you were dealing with for a while, and I don't know if that's still continuing. I haven't been here for a few weeks because I had eye surgery, so I don't know, but I feel, I'm involved with Family Promise, and probably many of you have heard of Family Promise, but I do have some brochures that have been a successful program in Lincoln City. So the new minister that's coming into the Depoe Bay Church has been approached by Family Promise to see if they want to cooperate with that program. Is there anyone here that does not know anything about Family Promise? Do you know how it works? Okay. What it does, it's a wonderful program in relationship to, as far as communities, to help people, families that have lost their home, they lost their job, and a lot of times the whole family is living in a car, or let's say in the park, you know, just to get by until the father or whoever can get a job. And so this program is designed to help families. Only people have children. It only works for that type of family. And they bring them into a center. They help them to make contacts for jobs. If the children need medical care, or you know, any of the people in the group needs medical help, they get that kind of help. They help the people that's working in the family to make contacts for jobs. It only works in a community where a church is willing to help out. The churches in Lincoln City have decided to do this in the past. And what they do is, and the whole problem is where are people going to sleep? That's where they're going to be. And this is how it works with the churches. The church of that month, or whoever is helping out, provides evening meal for those people in this program who there's been really a great, quite in-depth research. They interview them, they do background checks on them, you know, to find out about the family, to see, you know, do they want the program to be successful, of course. This program, Family Promise, is working all over the United States, and there's several in New York that's been very successful. And if you work in New York, it should work here, right? So, anyway, the churches feed them an evening meal. They have cots and they put them up, they sleep at night. The next morning, that same church feeds them breakfast, and then they are bused, or if they have cars, they go back to the center to help them to make contacts for jobs. And it's a really good program in helping that way, and it doesn't put too much of a burden on the churches, but the Family Promise person, the volunteers, it takes a lot of volunteers. The volunteers are there with them during the daytime to interact with these people, to help them, you know, to encourage them, blah, 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 that type of thing. Also, once they make the contact for a job, and it's all set up for the job, then they don't want the people to leave immediately. You want to make sure they have enough money to pay rent and be able to get started all over again. It's a whole new start in life.
Yeah, that really has nothing to do with this property.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but the thing is I was hoping to reach Hannah, who's in charge of Family Promise, also the minister who says he wants to help with Family Promise, that is here. And he's with the Assembly of God. Assembly of God churches are very famous for helping to buy properties to help people. And I thought maybe the minister, which I'm sorry, it's vacation time, because of the holiday, I couldn't contact them. So I was kind of hoping to be held over to the next meeting, and that way maybe I'd find out some of these things, but I just could not bring it up.
That would really be a helpful thing. Basically, what I put this on the agenda for was to have our city attorney come down and look at this,
Okay,
and with the possibility of maybe acquiring that property
right,
with some federal government loans,
sure,
and we can tear down what there is there and maybe put it back into
here,
income housing. And that's, I understand there's federal money for that sort of thing. So
Well, it's
it's a
a person-
win-win for the city,
okay.
and that's what we're about this evening.
And I wasn't sure all the details, and I
Yeah,
apologize for not having more information, but I do know that in Family Promise right now, there is a family there with 2 boys, and he is quite capable of doing plumbing and repairs to a property. He'd be willing to do the work, to bring it back up, and maybe they could live there for a while they're doing that. I've seen people do that, and I know that's not what you probably wanna do in this situation, but didn't have enough information. But I want to throw it out there to see, because I think the minister that's not here at present, he's on holiday in California right now, so
Okay,
might be interested in trying to help with that program.
we thank you for coming on that. Really what we're about.
If anybody would like any brochures on the Family Promise, I have the statistics on the success they have fulfilled in Lincoln City, if anyone's interested, because I feel that would help some of the homeless problems that you had here. If some of those people that need help were capable of receiving help, it might take away some of those problems that we had earlier this year, or, in the past, from the homeless people.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you. I'd like to get the information from you after
Sure.
the council meeting on who to contact.
Sure, I have the information and the person's name, and the president of this organization is the previous Lincoln City mayor's wife. She's the president of this organization. But there is a person who came here with the mayor before, is going to set it up. So I'll be glad to give you, I have documentation to give you afterwards.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Counselor? Were you able to find out anything what we discussed as far as,
Well, we can't,
federal funds and,
we have to go through our own city code before we can get any interest in that property.
what would it take to do something with this problem? Obviously, it isn't gonna go away by itself.
We have to cite it as a nuisance, and it's kind of a lengthy process, but we can get from point A to point B. And then once you have a lien on it from your citations or fines or however you want to proceed, you could foreclose on it. My feeling is it would be relatively valuable, so somebody may actually bid in and, outbid it, but at least you get your fines and reimbursement, you actually have somebody possibly own it. But for us to actually take it over, it's an extreme step. You could actually go through condemnation process, but condemnation, again,
He's the one.
you're talking about hearings and possibly a court case. So there's ways to get from point A to point B, but I think the initial step should be citation under your code. And if you can find federal funds, I mean, the more the better. But I think from a legal perspective, you'd have to be declared a nuisance.
So the alternative to this is just leave it alone and see what happens, or?
Well, no, I mean, I think if we want to go ahead and start having Brady issue citations or have us go through the citation process, you can't lose that way. Either they improve the property on their own, because they don't want to keep facing the nuisance case, or they get to the point where the liens are so large that either we end up with it or we go through a foreclosure sale. So
We haven't yet got a written complaint. Otherwise, I would.
Probably put it on the market to sell, that's probably what it is.
It sounds like if nothing else, the least expensive option and the one that will probably, how do I say it, get the ball rolling faster is to go with what Mr. Gittler said about issuing citations and establishing.
There's ordinance,
a lien.
yeah, there's
Well,
ordinance violations there, and the city's policy is to get a written complaint, and then I can move forward with the enforcing the
somebody.
That's to this point, that's why it's sat there so long and nothing's really been done, just the owner really hasn't been contacted at all.
It isn't, doing the people any good that are staying there as
Really
well.
sad.
in the park of the
Yeah.
land.
So anybody, there's probably asbestos in
I mean, someone entertain a motion for what the counselor has to say and what Brady has to say. Yes.
there. I move that we, how do you word this?
You can make a motion, they can make a motion to direct me to start,
Consider it a complaint, actually.
enforce the code. Code enforcement.
Yeah. Code enforcement.
Yeah.
Can you word that?
Direct staff to enforce, well, we do have an ordinance regarding that whole nuisance process, which is,
Yeah, okay. So I move to, ask, not ask, but direct, the enforcement, officer to proceed with, already enacted codes and, proceed with violation and citation based on the
I
fact.
could do a 15-day standard, to comply, and that would be, there's anything from tall waste to dilapidated structure to garbage and refuse, and there's a number of stuff.
Danger, safety.
Yeah, it's a nuisance.
It's a nuisance.
Yeah.
I was checking at that one.
Keeping in mind, there's other structures in town,
Well,
not so
then-
visible,
Yep.
Yeah.
We're well aware of that as
One right
well.
there in town, so
We gotta start somewhere.
it's a good start.
well, we kind of did with, we'll go through this, but we already have something in motion here at the lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Actually, that's part of my report.
okay,
I got an update on that.
all right.
So call, please.
Grant.
Aye.
Fisher Brown.
Yes,
Wiseman.
Yes.
Gambino.
Yes.
Mackellar.
Yes. Sir, would you, I have to go cough on, would you take over?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll be right back.
Next on the agenda. Hmm?
will that suffice?
Oh, a written complaint. Well, I imagine it probably was.
There you go.
I've received this written complaint from, Mhm. Yeah. You want that down? Okay, next item on the agenda is,
He was a partner.
Terry, are we-
The partner bailed out. He got stuck with the property.
Coffee.
He's very upset about it.
Do you want to call a recess or, okay.
Yeah. The council will take a recess for 10 minutes.
The mayor, I don't know why the mayor didn't mention it. He met. Yeah, over the water meter.